Hello, human beings of the planet Earth, and welcome back to Science 2.0. Before we get started on today's rollicking conspiracy theory, I would like to announce to the Yugoslavian woman, the slender, tender young Yugoslavian woman of 23, Scien Danny, that the debate is still totally open, and I will still totally debate with you anytime that you wish. Alright, with that said, let's get on to today's rollicking topic, which just so happens to be the JFK assassination. What was it? Who was JFK? Was he a brand of crispy breakfast cereal? And why was he murdered? Now, as we all know, JFK was the 5th president to be assassinated. Also, here's the kicker. Whereas it used to be that Democrats were the good guys and Republicans were the bad guys, as we all know these days, Republicans are the good guys and Democrats are the bad guys. When did this change take place? I'll tell you right when. It happened right when President Kennedy became the Democrat president back in 1950. Yes, this was a turning point because he was the first new Democrat. Some might say it was President Johnstone, but actually, it was Canadian. It was President John F. Canadian and his brother, Robot Canadian, as well as his wife, Jacko Canadian. Now, the Kennedys were all a very happy family, but the trouble with them is they were too liberal. So when Robert F. Canadian went down to Dallas, Texas, asking to get more votes from JR, he was asking for trouble because, as we all know, them patriots in Texas don't take too much gall from the liberals. Now this is the way it happened. John F. Kennedy's inside that car there. He's in a coma, but they won't wake him out of it. Now, as I was saying, of course, the interesting thing is, they say the assassin was Lee Harvey Oswald, a man who seems just as mysterious as Dogdew Cooper, the man who stole $1,000 gazillion from an airplane and then was caught the following day outside a movie theater by the FBI and gunned down, the leader of the infamous Dillinger Gang. Now, as from what we can discern about Lee Harvey Oswald, he didn't like liberal Mr. Kennedy that much, so that amounts to is why Mr. Kennedy was gunned down, and thus marked the decline of the Democratic Party until Nixon fixed the reputation of all Republicans and conservatives everywhere in 1970 with his breathtaking book, Watergate, Dreams from My Father. Now I have here the Warren Report. This is the official report on the death of Robert F. Kennedy. Now, I don't know if you can see it very well because the light is out tonight, but you can clearly see it is the Warren Report on the death of John F. Kennedy, and I have an official copy here. I bought it on eBay for $600. It's as valuable as the Diary of John Titor, so here we go. Now, on page 3, it officially says this: Baby Donnie in the Heartland election surprise. We're going to be doing a job that hopefully You will be so proud of your president. You'll be so proud again. It's man. No wait. This isn't the Warren Report. This is a different book. Wait, I have the right one here. Okay, here it is. You can't see it in my hand. That's mainly because it's invisible, but I bought it on eBay. Now here's what it says. It has a very interesting bit of information. Lee Harvey Oswald was the grandson of John Wilkes Booth, the guy who shot Abraham Thinking, and also the cousin of James Earl Ray, the guy who shot Martin Luther Hot Dog Sr. Now, what does this mean? That he came from a long lineage of assassinationers. Also, here's the real kicker. Donald Trump is the grandson of Lee Harvey Oswald. Coincidence? I think not. You look it up on Wikipedia, you can tell. Just go to Wikipedia right now if you don't believe me, and see how John Wilkes Booth is the grandpa of Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald is the grandpa of Donald Trump, father of Fred Trump, and Lee Harvey Oswald is the cousin of James Earl Ray. Just the same way that Christopher Columbus was the first president of the United States and George Washington discovered America. This is basic history. Now, once you've got that down pat, what does it mean? It means the conservatives didn't really like John F. Kennedy's liberal policies because he had threatened to make marijuana legal and to make deals with the commies and to make America all commie-ish. And as you can imagine, the conservatives didn't want to give up all their prized possessions, all their gold and jewels down in Fort Knox, over to the liberals and pay more taxes and give free health care to all the poor people. So they said, nuh-uh. First off, John Wilkes Booth with President Lincoln for freeing the slaves. And while I must admit, slavery was bad, I will say that. It is a wrong thing. And Republicans these days do not advocate that. David Duke may have endorsed Trump, but Trump does not in any way endorse David Duke. Going beyond that, Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK, of course, because he wanted Nixon to be the president, and Nixon lost to JFK, which is wrong, because Nixon should have been the 45th president. And also, and so these days, Trump is the grandson of Lee Harvey Oswald, and Lee Harvey Oswald even voted for Donald Trump all the way back in 1960, but it was the only vote for Trump, so that's why Trump didn't win that year. Mainly because he hadn't started The Apprentice yet. I watch The Apprentice every day. So that's basically the deal with the JFK shooting. Lee Harvey Oswald, conservative. Robert F. Kennedy, liberal. Also, when he was sitting next to... Okay, I think it's a fun fact time this week. When John F. Kennedy was sitting next to Cracker Jack Kennedy in the Kennedy Mobile, he turned to her and he said to his wife, the First Lady, the icon of America, Marilyn Monroe, he said to her, "You know, wife, I've never felt better as the president than I do now, sitting here in Austin with all these people cheering me on for me." And then, of course, he got shot. So that's kind of sad and weird, because, you know, who'd think he'd say something like that right before he gets shot? Not very inspiring last words. Also, you'll notice that the two presidents who got assassinated were both fans of big open cars. President Kennedy had a big open car where his head could be aimed at, and also when Abraham Lincoln died, he was cruising down the road in a convertible. So that's not very good. Both of them were kind of sloppy. And also Abe Lincoln didn't go with the Secret Service because he was like, I'm Abe Lincoln. I'm tough enough to slaughter a whole field full of assassins. Because he wasn't as cool as he thought he was. He was a lout. I don't like Abe Lincoln. Or George Washington. Or Karl Marx. Anyway, this has been Science 2.0. Stay updated, prepared, and ready.